Welcome, students, to this video on writing dialogue. In this video, you're going to do three things. Number one, you're going to read two essays that use dialogue beautifully to progress their narrative. Second thing you're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to punctuate dialogue. You're going to learn the rules on how to do it. And then third, you're going to write your own brief story using dialogue yourself. Okay. So let's get into this. All right. So first and foremost, you're going to read The Missing Son piece and The Other Talk. They're two personal narratives that use dialogue beautifully. So between the two essays, you are going to make 7 to 10 annotations. And those annotations are going to be specifically analyzing the dialogue. So I've got several questions here that you can answer. These are to guide your annotations. You don't have to answer all of them, but you can use those questions to help you analyze the annotations. So that's what you are going to do. So there's The Missing Son piece. Whew, beautiful. And then we're going to scroll down to the other Talk by Shaquille Heath. Very beautiful. Both use dialogue to progress the narrative very, very, very well. Okay, so at the bottom of this, you are going to write your own brief short story. You're going to play around and have fun with dialogue. It's low stakes writing. Don't think too hard about it. Maybe spend 15 to 20 minutes writing your own brief story. And you're going to write down a conversation you actually had, or you can make one up, but be sure to punctuate your dialogue properly. So let's go over how to punctuate dialogue first. And I've included the link to this slide presentation in the Canvas assignment. So let's go ahead and look at this. Before we do that, I wanted to share with you my story that I wrote that uses dialogue. Yours doesn't have to be this long. It can be half this length, but I had fun writing this. I want you to notice how I'm punctuating this, the punctuation specifically. Good morning, or Mr. Bockel can't read. Mr. Bockel made his way to the front of the classroom. Good morning, students. Today you are going to write a 20-page essay about the political and social factors of the Elizabethan era that are reflected in Shakespeare's Titus Andronicus. WTF, shouted Jimmy. Oh, no, Sarah yelled. That dude's been dead for like 500 years, Logan said disapprovingly. Why do we 400 years? Oh, wait, I messed it up. 500 years, Logan said disapprovingly. Why do we 400 years? Mr. Bockel corrected, a hint of annoyance in his voice. And don't ask me why we have to study Shakespeare. To be honest, I don't know why. It's just something that English teachers do. From the back of the classroom, Ken, a student who until that moment had never said a word in Mr. Bockel's class, asked, Titus Andronicus? Isn't that like Shakespeare's most violent play? Yes, it is, came Mr. Bockel's reply. Doesn't some dude get killed and baked into a pie? Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Then that pie is given to his mom and she eats it. Dramatic irony. It gets you every time. Well, that sounds like a tasteful play. It's delicious. Okay, so there are a few things I wanted you to notice about my use of dialogue here. Number one, whenever I switch speakers, it's always a new paragraph. We do that to visually tell our readers that a new person is speaking. It's so much easier to pay attention to who is saying what. When every time we switch speakers, we shift from one speaker to another, we make a new paragraph. Another thing is, like you'll notice right here, when I wanted to indicate that I was cutting a student off, I used a dash. That tells a student that we should read the next part very quickly. Another thing that I tried to do is I tried to write colloquially how people actually speak. So I threw in there WTF, no. So when you're writing dialogue, you can make it sound a little bit more informal. Try to capture how people actually sound. Are they stuttering? Are they scared? Are you trying to get an accent in there? If you're writing about someone in Utah and they're saying the word mountain, perhaps you should drop the T, MOUNAIN. Get rid of the T or something like that. So try to actually capture how people are actually talking. Another thing I wanted you to notice is that every single time I indicate who is speaking until I've established a set pattern. So yes, it is, came Mr. Bockel's reply. And then right here, you'll notice that there is no tag. That's because I've already established who is speaking. I've already established this is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This is a good technique. You can only do this once it's very clear to your reader. You've established a pattern. Occasionally, however, you're going to have to go back and say, Bockelt said, or Ken said, or whatever it may, or Sarah, or whomever it may be. So make sure when you're writing your own dialogue, you have a new line every time you have a shift in who is talking. Now let's actually get in how to punctuate your dialogue. So I've got this right here, and once again, I have given you, oh, my face is in the way here. I have linked this in the Canvas assignment. So you'll notice that you've got a lead in, we've got, come on, oh, there it is. We've got a lead in, we've got a middle lead, and then we've got an end lead. And you'll notice that with that, I changed the color of the font to show you what you're supposed to be doing. All right, so we're going to open up our, so this is a lead in. We're going to lead into whomever is speaking. In Mr. Bockelt's class, Victoria fabricated a mischievous plot. Leading over, she whispered to Allison, hey, we should get out of here. You know, slough class. I want you to notice a few things. Number one, I didn't just say, Victoria said. I tried to give a little bit more description in there. So don't just say, she said, he said, they said. Go in a little bit more. Leaning over, she whispered. The next thing, before the actual dialogue, I have a comma here. Open it up with quotations. I capitalize the first one, and then the punctuation goes on the inside at the end, close quote. This is the easiest way to punctuate dialogue. If you don't know what to do, use this format right here. Lead into it, comma, open the quote, capital letter, period, or punctuation inside the quote, close the quote. If you want to get a little more sophisticated, you can do a middle lead. So here I'm actually going to take a complete sentence that a student is, or I'm sorry, that one of the characters is going to say, and I'm going to interrupt that sentence with the lead in the middle. Once again, I shifted speakers, so this is a new paragraph. Capitalize right here. If we do, Allison responded with a skeptical smile, he'll know and we'll get into so much trouble. He might even invoke the APA God to prescribe our eternal punishment. So let's pay attention to how I punctuated this. If we get rid of this lead and just read, if we do, he'll know, like that sentence makes sense just the way it is, but we're going to insert the lead in there. So how do we do it? How do we punctuate it? Let's pay attention. First off, open the quote, capital letter. And then if you're going to do this, it's going to be where a natural pause is in the sentence anyway. I put a comma there and I close it with quotes. Then I insert my tag in there. At the end of that tag, notice right here with a skeptical smile, there's a comma right there. Open up the quote. You'll notice right here with the heel, it's lowercase because this is a continuation of the same sentence. Continue all the way on with the rest of that sentence. Punctuation goes at inside the quotation marks, and then you close. All right, and then our last one, this is an end lead. This is a very simple one. You're right, I guess. We should stay in here and be good students listening to everything Mr. Bockelt tells us, comma, reluctantly Victoria admitted as she readied herself for the day's activities. So very similar to the beginning lead, we open with a capital letter. The punctuation goes inside the quotes. When we have the tag, it's lowercase right here. And see if we can, you don't always have to avoid he said or she said or they said, but you want to insert as much action as you possibly can. So that is how you punctuate dialogue. So now let's get back to your assignment. Down here, this is a low stakes writing assignment where you can play around with dialogue, have a little bit of fun, only spend a few minutes on this, maybe 20 minutes max, and then write down a conversation. You can make it up or you can record one you've actually had. Keep it to 2 characters because it's a lot easier to practice dialogue with just 2 characters. With 3, you're getting a lot in there and it's a little more complicated. So here are some scenarios that could inspire you. One character wants something that the other doesn't. Maybe one wants to go on a date with someone and the other one doesn't. The characters are in a fight. Maybe you can record That last conversation you had with your mom in which you fighted, when you fighted over something. Who the heck is your English teacher? Which you fought over something. Fight is an irregular verb. The characters are avoiding talking about something. Maybe you want to record that conversation where you and your boyfriend knew you needed to break up, but you couldn't, and then no one ever just brought it up, and you kind of just avoided the topic. The characters have just met, and they're getting to know each other. The characters are experiencing something together. Maybe they're on a trip, cooking together, or playing at a party, or playing a video game. Or one character is trying on a new dress at Macy's, and the other character, a sales associate, is trying to convince the customer the dress looks good. It doesn't. Do we even go to department stores for new, or do we just buy all of our stuff online? I don't know. Take a trip back in time 10 years and imagine that scenario. Looking forward to reading your stories, folks. This is Mr. Bocholtz. Keep writing. Still haven't, we'll keep writing. That, we're just going to go with that. This is Mr. Bocholtz. Keep writing.